Hello and welcome to a Hearts of Iron 4 list video. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Anyways, this list is going to be all about 5 factions that are super hard to play as, or super hard to win as, or really just factions you want to avoid unless you don't like yourself. Now, how do I come up with this list? Well, I can divide things into 2 categories really. One is strength of the country. Now I take into account the size of the starting army and navy and air force, the manpower that the country has in reserve, and the resources that the country has. The second category is threat of destruction, as I like to call it. Now, threat of destruction means how likely a country is to invade you, either at the start or shortly after, or really any point in the game. You know, how likely your country is to be destroyed at any moment by powers greater than yourself. So that is what I base this scale on, and away we go. Alright, coming in at number 5, we have Poland. Now, we all know the sad history of Poland getting spit roasted by the Germans and the Soviets, and that's really what makes Poland a top 5 most difficult faction to play. While they're not higher though, now Poland is actually pretty decent. You do start out with a whopping 40 divisions. As for your resources, you have, you got some steel, some oil, so you're not like totally useless. Now, Poland's most redeeming factor, I guess, is that they can pretty easily join the Entente, the UK-led Entente, once the Germans choose to invade you. Now, holding off either just the Germans or just the Soviets isn't too hard in itself. The difficulty always comes when both of them invade you at the same time, forcing you to divert your forces and hold off 2 invasions at once. But an experienced player, if given enough time in the 1936 start date, they should be able to build up their forces enough to at least hold out, hopefully until your allies in the West can come rescue you and save you from the Germans, which would then allow you to concentrate more forces in the East to fight off the Soviets. Alright, number 4, Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia definitely has the hardest start in the game when you're talking about the 1936 start, as they immediately start out at war with the Italians, who are a stronger faction. But the Ethiopians aren't entirely useless. You do start out with 13 divisions, which hopefully is enough to at least defend off against the Italians in time to let you build up your forces more and push them back. Now, the Italians are at a disadvantage because they are fighting quite far from their homeland, and will have a much harder time getting reinforcements down to Eastern Africa, where the war is going on. So that is your big advantage, that you can more quickly reinforce yourself. Now, you'll be hard-pressed to supply your troops a lot. As you can see, Ethiopia only starts with 2 rubber for its natural resources. But on the bright side, with a population of 10.01 million, you do have a lot of manpower, at least, to throw at the enemy if it becomes quite dire. Now, should you fend off against the Italians early on in the game, and at least give time for the main war to kick off where the Italians will be occupied elsewhere, then you could find yourself in a pretty decent position to expand further, perhaps into Yemen and Saudi Arabia as well. Alright, coming in at number 3 is Albania. Now, Albania, they're in a pretty similar situation to Ethiopia, really, in that early on they will face a threat from the Italians. Unlike Ethiopia, they only start with 1 division. Now, the bright side is you don't start out immediately at war with the Italians. So, that way, you do have some time to prepare a bit more. What you should be doing is building up naval defenses here, where your port is, or they may attack Yugoslavia first and then come down and they attack you from the north. So, either way, you will definitely have a hard time defending as Albania, unless you can really build up your forces at the beginning. But with a population of only 1 million, it's kind of hard to get a lot of troops out quickly, and with very few natural resources as well. That is why Albania comes in at number 3, as surviving early on in the game is quite hard. However, should you do that, other countries around you, such as Yugoslavia and Greece, may be preoccupied with a war elsewhere, thus giving you a small chance to expand. At number 4 is Luxembourg. Luxembourg is very, very, very difficult to do anything with. As you can see, you start out with no divisions whatsoever. You only have a meager 295,000 population to recruit from. Your natural resources are only 8 steel, and you are right next to one of the biggest powers in the game, Germany, which is pretty much guaranteed to invade you at some point. So, really, it's quite hard to get anything done as Luxembourg. Now, honestly, your best bet is to just build up a bunch of forts, build as many divisions as you can, and wait for the German invasion. And when it happens, join the Entente, and hopefully they can help push you back, and then you will be able to occupy some of Germany and claim some land for yourself. Other than that, there's really not much hope for Luxembourg unless you're super experienced and a super veteran player. So if you want a very hard challenge, go for Luxembourg. Alright, number 1, Tano Tuva. Now, Tano Tuva, which is a country that I didn't even know existed at any point in time before I started playing this game. Small country situated between the Soviet Union and Mongolia. You start out the game with 1 division. Your manpower is 85.1 thousand. Natural resources are 2 chromium, and that's pretty much it. Now, you do start out in the Comintern faction, so you do have that going for you. But, if you actually want to be able to expand, well, you're probably going to have to rebel against the Soviet Union, leave the faction, and probably your best bet at making any sort of progress in conquering territory, wait for the Germans to invade the Soviet Union. Hopefully their invasion goes well, and then maybe you've built up enough troops in time, which is never going to be enough really against the Soviets, and hopefully they're at least distracted, and that will allow you to sweep up into Siberia and claim Siberia for yourself, or maybe take on the Mongolians and unite Mongolia under your guy or whatever. I don't know. Really, you're just pretty much screwed any way you try to go with Tano Tuva. You just have nothing, and you're surrounded. Not surrounded, but you are right next to the most powerful country in the game. Besides, perhaps the United States. It's a toss-up. Unless you're a super veteran and you just hate your life, don't play as Tano Tuva. So that concludes the list of top 5 hardest countries to play as in Hearts of Iron 4. Now, I'm sure you disagreed with it, and I look forward to hearing your comments about how stupid and retarded I am, and why your opinion on which countries are so much harder is better, and also how you conquered the world as Tano Tuva in a mere 3 months. So please comment all of those objections, or alternatively, maybe you agreed with it, in which case, give the video a like. Why not? See ya.